In racing, safety comes first, and today safety is more important than ever. Introducing Sanacor by Silverthorne Industries, the safe and powerful way to stay protected. Sanacor offers hand sanitizer in bottles or convenient single-use packs. Safe, powerful, Sanacor.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. WFO, Joe Castello here. And we got the winners from the AAA Texas Fall Nationals. Matt Hartford going to start us off. Fast Jack Beckman going to join us. And, of course, Jerry Savoie, first win since Texas a year ago. And, you know, at the start of the show, I always tell you about the sponsors. I will a little bit later on in the show. But for those of you that watch every show in real time, every week on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, yesterday was a really tough day, as a lot of news was kind of getting out about the passing of Eric Lane, a.k.a. Hop, who has worked with many teams, John Forrest on Schumacher Racing, currently Cruz Pedregon as crew chief for the Snap-on Tools, Toyota Camry, and he is a friend of the show, has always been a WFO supporter, has been on WFO radio many, many times, and has really, done so many positive things for so many people in the sport. It has been just a total tidal wave of sadness over our little NHRA community family. And it's times like this where we think about what we're doing, and we're racing and we're competing, and I'm not, but I watch others do that. And you want to, go at their throats, and you want to see people go out and give it all they've got. But at the same time, it's the same group of people week in, week out, working hard, spending time with each other, maybe even more than their families, pursuing their dreams. And this is just a great tragedy. We'll talk about it. I'll ask each of my guests about it. But I know that many of you listening to the show, I say it all the time, it's kind of an insider show. A lot of people within the sport thinking about Eric Lane right now, thinking about what happened, thinking about, frankly, there's a lot of stories going around. I would encourage people to try to not get into all of that and just wait. There's racing in Houston. Cruz Pedregon and team have said that they're going to race this weekend in Houston. I think about Nick. I think about Cruz. I think about what's going on in those guys. And my heart goes out to them. It's a very, very challenging time right now. This has been a challenging year. So many things. We still got the Nitro Ninja up in the corner for Dominic, who is recovering. And that is a bright bit of news that he is recovering. But we've had just such a tough year. And what are we going to do? We're going to power through it. We're going to soldier on. And I think about Eric, and I think about many moments over the past 5 years. And I have so much to say about him, and I'll say it later and coming out in bits and pieces over the next couple of shows, the next couple of weeks. I don't know that I'm ready to delve into some of those stories right at the moment, but I can tell you that he was a very big part of me going from NHRA worker, someone who's doing a job out at the National Hot Rod Association, trying to keep going, trying to not be fired, trying to do all the right things, to someone who felt comfortable being there and knowing that I had friends at the track beyond my profession there, beyond my job, what I do as an announcer. And he was just so important to me. And it's just devastating. And I know that there are so many people who have that exact same story. And it's terrible, but what would he want? And I can tell you, I feel like I know him well enough to know that he would want us to celebrate the race wins and the race winners and the race ahead, the penultimate race of the season 2020 that we are fighting and clawing to get our way through and crown champions. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to do that. And we're going to keep doing that. And we're going to just battle with all we've got and get through it and get to the end of this 2020 season and get back after it in 2021. That's it. That's what I've got to say. It's now time to get on with the show. Stick around afterwards. We'll delve into a couple of other things, but we've got great guests, 3 unbelievable guests, people that I love and I call my friends, and it's going to be a little sappy, for the next couple of days as, appreciation for certain people, even this guy down there in Tucson, Arizona.
No.
No? You wait. I'm going to show you my appreciation. You'll see it in a second. It's going to be tough love. Like, let's start off with this one. Ready? Boom. Look at this guy. You know what's amazing about Matt Hartford? The more you cover him up, the better looking he gets.
Absolutely. Let's go. We could go rob a train right there.
You do. You look like a real cowboy. You're like on your steel horse you ride. Huge pro stock win, though. 5 last year. I know that, of course, you want to win the world championship. This year was tough. You switched power, switched all that stuff, some learning curve, growing pains. Things were different. To be where you are right now at the strongest you've been with 3 races, or at this point, 3 races to go, now 2, that's got to make you guys feel pretty well.
Oh, it does for sure, Joe. And, thanks for having me on. And, I live in Phoenix, not Tucson, just so you know.
Oh, why did I say that? Reinhardt. Everyone in Arizona is Tucson. You're right.
No, that's Reinhardt. He lives down there. It's the wrong school down there anyway.
You jumped to make the distinction. And that, as a Florida person who knows very little about Arizona, you dove into that distinction between Tucson and Phoenix. And that makes
Jacksonville.
Exactly. I would attack you if you said that. Jack, I'd shake my fist at you. Good analogy.
To be where we're at right now, we're number 4 in points. We're 181 points behind Erica. Do we have a mathematical chance of wearing a number 1? Absolutely. Is it probable? No. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, for Erica to make a mistake and Jason and Jag all to lose first round at the next 2 races, probably not going to happen, or them not to qualify, probably not going to happen. But, at the beginning of the year, we switched to KB Power. And we had an electrical gremlin. We had a relay that was intermittent for the first 2 races, and that really cost us. For sure, had nothing to do with a switch. It was definitely just a relay. And then, a couple races I drove like an idiot. So you take those out of it. The rest of the races we've been really good. We went to the finals in Indy. We had a really good chance to potentially go to the finals in the St. Louis race. Jason just knocked down the scoreboards against us. I mean, obviously him and Greg got the 2 fastest cars out there right now. Make no bones about it. I don't care which team you're on, but you see consistently either one of those cars is typically, they're driving right up on you at the finish line. And to go to the finals again in Dallas last weekend and then win, that's 3 races in a row that we've had a really good car. And Eddie and Adam and my wife Amber, they're doing a great job on the car, and KI's in Vancouver wishing us the best. I think he's tuning it over the phone or he's probably got some sort of Wi-Fi tuning the car for us. That's why we're so fast.
I like that. Okay. So you mentioned Greg and Jason and how they are coming on. They've got the big power. They got quick and fast cars. We can watch the final and you will experience it. Talk about nerve-wracking. Everybody watch this. You get the jump on them, but watch as Greg comes up on you.
Hartford is 18 to Greg Anderson's 066 line. Anderson trying to pull up next to him. They get to the finish line, and it's Hartford on a hole shot again. 662.5 beats a 658.8. His wife goes nuts. Eddie Ganaccia goes nuts. And Matt Hartford is losing his mind inside that car, whether he looks like it or not.
He's looking in his rearview mirror. I don't think he has a rearview mirror. Right now, Matt Hartford is seeing 7 come up on the scoreboard, and he earned it. It's a tough way to make a living, but if you have to do it on the starting line, by all means.
Yes. So where are you going, losing your mind in the car at that moment?
Man, I'll tell you what, I was excited. There's no doubt about it. And our radio at the end of the track, once we get past the finish line, I really can't make out what Eddie's saying, and I don't think he can hear me very well. We don't have an amplifier on it, so it gets a little staticky. But I knew he screamed, and that was good enough for me. That meant that we win, because there was no wind lights. I couldn't see any wind lights. And I did, they say don't look over at the other car, once you put it in high gear. When you're going down the track, don't look at the other car because you're going to make a mistake. Well, don't worry. I had it in 5th gear, and I was looking over going, oh, my God, he's coming. It was like a freight train, because everything slows down because you're going similar speed. And so he was mowing me down. He was coming. And I was just, let's get to the finish line. And I probably ran it past the finish line a little farther than I should have, but that's kind of how it goes.
Yes, exactly. And I should say Brian Loans and Tony Pedregon from Fox Sports on the call. And I'm thrilled that we can and show these finals. And just to make it interactive and show that everybody is still doing exactly what they should be doing, Michael Heiner, number 1 qualifying crew chief, says, congratulations, Hartford. I still think you stink.
Oh, hold on. Let me look down to see where his text is. Oh, there it is. Hey, Mike, I see you down there.
The short jokes are so basic for poor Heiner. Come on.
What else you got for him? I mean, you got to give him stuff.
Supports him. That's a better one. Attack him on that. Don't attack height, attack manhood.
No.
All right. Well,
no. He look, we have a step stool in our trailer for when he comes in. So he wants to look at our computer screen. He can step up on it and look at it. It's okay.
Exactly. Marvin Rodak says, congratulations, Matt. Stellar job, especially since you were missing crew chief Castello. Not really, but I heard you mentioned that Marvin came and you guys talked a little valve spring technology.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you noticed, I don't know if you've seen any of the pictures of the car, this big WFO sticker right on the side window. And, we're proud to wear it, and we're proud to put it in the winner's circle for you.
Well, not only that, but here's a photo from earlier. Maybe that 5 will be changed to a 4. But we've got like a whole thing happening with our WFO listeners who are wearing the sticker or the face coverings, and they're going to the winner's circle. Like it's pretty amazing. Taylor, speaking of KI, who is it's just something that's happening, and you are the latest person to experience the wave of positivity that comes from having WFO colors on your car. Not that we have anything to do with it, but
no. But look at speaking of Heiner, I mean, look, all shortness aside, I mean, he is probably one of the very creative crew chiefs out there. He's always looking for a way to go faster, and I mean, the amount of number 1 qualifiers that he's gotten with Derek, unfortunately, hasn't been able to capitalize on all of them, but he's definitely qualified number 1 a tremendous amount of times with that car. And I've never qualified number 1 at an NHRA event. We qualified number 1 in Orlando, but I've never qualified number 1. So understand, I have qualified the correct ET to be number 1, but that green car got me on speed both times. So the joke is I need to learn how to adjust my wing in the back, that I got too much downforce. I got it tipped up too high. So
he's cagey guy. That's why. And ever since and also since we're making it all about ourselves, right? Like it's what you're supposed to not do in broadcasting is make it all about yourself. But on this show, I guess we can do it.
On the show.
We had Heiner and Eddie on our happy hour show not long ago. And since that day where we all dove in, you were on there also.
Connolly was on there.
Connolly, I think everybody that was on there had a positive experience and has gone on to great things.
All right. So here's the deal. Outside of Connolly, Heiner, Eddie, and myself, that's it. We get the show for the rest of the year.
Exactly. That could be arranged. And Total Seal, a big sponsor of WFO, everybody. I know I was going to save after it's just a tough time. Everybody's emotional right now, but Matt has been super helpful. Let's talk about some of these races though, Matt. You did say that you drove terribly at some races earlier. I think I know what you mean. I think you mean the first round red light, which super bummer, but it's a tough deal. In this case, you and Chris, first round, you're 24, he's 20. You get around him. And I'm sure there were a lot of people rooting against you because they wanted to see that Ray or Morrison car win.
I would have loved to see that car in the finals at one of the races and to see a Wally sitting on top of that car. Nothing to do with Chris, but just, growing up, Lee Shepard was somebody I looked up to. And then the entire Rare Morth and, with Bruce Allen, all through the years, that's just been a team that, my generation looked up to that generation. So when Chris unveiled that car when I first seen it, I walked over to him. I said, "Man, that's incredible, and I hope that you're going to leave that wrap on." And he kind of smirked. And I'm not going to tell you what he told me, but it's I'm really happy he did what he did, and I think it's great for the sport.
I agree. I hope he leaves it on also to share it. The 50th year of Pro Stock was supposed to be this year, and we've all been robbed of so many things in 2020, and we're in this survival, get to the finish line mode. So it's hard to complain about something so mild, but that helped me a little bit. I got to enjoy some of the history of Pro Stock with Chris's car, and I hope they haul it across the state and keep it on through the end of the year or do something else.
Yeah, I think it might even, I think that's what you're going to see.
Well, I hope so, too. But that sends you to the second round against Bo. So you and Bo both got the KB Power. This is Bo's final season as a full-time Pro Stock racer. So he says he's going to go out and chase
that before.
Right, exactly. You've never heard that before. Exactly. And he's going to go chase big money bracket racing. And maybe he'll change his mind, though, after what happened in Super Street. But whenever you guys run, it's going to be tough. You're 35, he's 49. And you're 62.9 to his 64. So you left first and outran him to go to the semis.
Yeah, that was a good run. I mean, we made a good run for the session, not as good as what we needed to, but to get lane choice. But we certainly made a nice run, and I was average on the tree. I certainly wasn't stellar. Bo was average. I think if you're 30s and 40s, that's a good average light, and you can win a lot of races with 30s and 40s. But it's not stellar by any means. It's just the cards fell our way.
It is what it is. And you've got a pretty good little record against Bo the past few races. It is what it is. Sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's hard. You just take
I like racing Bo. I mean, he's a tough competitor. Make no bones about it. He's a past world champion in pro stock. I mean, he's not an easy draw in any round, and he's won a lot of races in a lot of categories. So when you run Bo, you have to go up there prepared. Like I said, I think we kind of got away with one a little bit because he certainly he could have went a teen light and took me out.
Right. Heiner says, lower your darn wing.
Yeah,
he says, lower.
I knew it.
What are we talking? A degree? Are we talking 2 degrees? Like, what are we talking? What kind of increments are we talking about?
Oh, hell, if you would have just moved it down, just pushed it down 10 thousandths. I mean, I lost it on speed by like 0.05 or something on speed. And that was in Chicago, I think. Chicago or Norwalk. Both those races, I think we were tied for ET, and he got me on speed both times.
Heiner, man, he's a wealth of knowledge, and he's become a celebrity. Like within the WFO universe, Michael Heiner is becoming a celebrity. It's pretty amazing, and it's great stuff. So semifinals now. Here's where it gets tough. You got to go up against E. E is in Texas. E is very strong in Texas, and you had to get up on the wheel, and you did. 008, she's 25. You're 64-1. She's 62-5. So whole shot victory against the champ. That doesn't happen all the time.
Look, here's the thing. Eric outruns you by just about 200, and she's 25 on the tree. How many people are winning that race? Not very many.
Right.
The Total Seal CIP1 Camaro, we won that race, and that means a lot to us. That was probably one of the biggest wins that we've had. Not talking about winning a race, but just an overall round win to beat her when she's on a really good streak right now. And obviously, she wasn't real thrilled that she lost, which no one would be. I mean, you never want to lose, but she made a really good run. She was 25 on the tree. You can't take anything away from that package. But she got to see the other side of it. She got beat, and that's not something that is very commonplace when you run as good as she did and have that type of light. So I've been on the other side, and it's not fun, but hey, we were happy to take the win line. And
you stopped the freight train because she had won the St. Louis race, and she comes into Texas, and they're
in the finals.
They're feeling it. And Jason is 31 points back. That's the guy who, KB supplies the power, his final season. If she wins that race, goes on to win the event, all of a sudden everything becomes a lot tougher for the KB guys, and it becomes maybe even less interesting for the fans out there. So this was a very critical round win, and you got the win to go to the final against Greg, who, if there's anybody that's hungry for a win out there, my goodness.
If Eddie and I have talked about this a lot of times. If you had to say to me, in a clutch, who is the guy? If there's one car that you're going to take as your horse that's going to win the race, or he's going to bail you out, or he's going to be the guy that you got to lean on, which person would you go to all around? I'm going to take Greg Anderson every single time. I think when adversity strikes, he can overcome it as good as anybody. He's always got a great car underneath him. He typically drives as good as anybody out there. Greg is the guy that through and throughout, I mean, he's got 94 wins. There's a reason for that. It's because that team is so good. Now, were we feeling pressure when we went up against Greg? Honestly, no. I didn't feel the pressure that we had to win, because beating Erica in the semifinals, that was a huge win for us. So I felt that we had some momentum on our side. Greg had been running well all day. He hadn't been on the tree all day. We had been running not nearly as well as him, but we had been pretty good on the tree. So I thought, if we can just make a really clean run against him, and I can do anything on the light, it's going to be another one of these 1,000 margin of victory races, and let the chips fall how they may. Now, granted, it was a little bit more margin than that, but he was a freight train running me down as it went down the track.
And you get the win. The win light comes on. I know it's been a tough season. Tell me a little bit about that feeling that you guys, getting back to the winner's circle. This is, correct me if I'm wrong, like 3 years in a row now that you've had a race win. And that's the measure that so many judge by, right? Did we win a race this year? Okay. All right. We won a race. That's a good year. Could it be better? Yeah, sure. Winning 2 is better than 1. Winning 3 is better than 2. Winning the championship is the best. But if you can get a win on the board in a year, that's a great measure. You guys have now got one and 2 races to get more.
Yeah. And honestly, you never want to be overconfident, but I do feel that going into these last 2 races that we have a car that can win either race. I don't feel that we're an underdog going into either race coming up, but and I know at the beginning of your show, you really didn't talk too much about your sponsors, but I just kind of want to mention, like Chris at CIP1.
Yes.
Steve at CIP1, they're partners that own CIP1. Their support has been just instrumental to me to be able to win a race this year. Even though Chris isn't out there every weekend with us, he's there in spirit, and he's, we're FaceTiming, we're calling. He's part of our team. He's my partner on the whole team. And, you got Rob back in Pennsylvania and Larry at the Hose Connection and all the guys at Rottler and Jason Curry. All these people come out and they support us. Even in a year where it's hard to have support, they've done it with no conditions. And that's the reason that in Dallas, we were able to go up there and win a race, because we have a lot of good people around us. And Total Seal has been there day in and day out for me for 23 years supporting my racing. And this is why we're such a close-knit community, is there's a lot of good people who support a lot of good people. And, it's to have a race win this year, it's incredible. But don't count us out for the next 2 races, because, we're coming for you.
No, I like that. I like the fact that you guys are going like gangbusters. Yeah, well, Chris from KI, from CIP1, and he's a banner ad sponsor on our website. Everybody goes to the WFOradio.com website. He reached out to me, by the way, just like, hey, how can I help?
Taking my sponsors?
I guess. I think actually, see, the way I would position it, because it's all about semantics, is that you have led them to WFO. They are following your lead. Doesn't that seem to make a lot better sense and certainly sound really good?
That's really good. I like that.
It sounds really good. Let's look at some photos. Got some cool photos here. Okay, so first of all, what are you getting on the roof of the race car for, Matt? Like car guys?
I've done it 3 times now. I did it in Houston. I did it in Seattle. And here, listen, there's something that you're at the top of the world. That's as far up as I can get where I'm at. It's awesome to be in that position. And look at the bottom of that trophy. How many people were going to go the rest of their lives, and someday that will be a trivia question? Who won the first Camping World Pro Stock race? Yes. That would be trivia in 20 years.
The answer is everybody but 4 people, because we know who those people are, and you're one of them. You got the first Camping World Wally. That is a big deal.
It is. I hope I get to meet the powers that be at Camping World at some point in time. Them coming into NHRA and doing what they did on such a short notice speaks volumes about how solid NHRA is and how much potential that this series has going forward. So I think it's going to be really exciting moving forward. I think it's a little different, not getting the medal and not getting the yellow hat, but I'm sure all the winner's circle celebration stuff will start happening next year once we get through most of COVID and they kind of get their feet on the ground. But just to have the first one that says Camping World, that's pretty incredible.
And there he is. He's on top. But car guys, though, like the idea of standing on the roof of your car is scary, right? You're scratching it, you're denting it. But this is a carbon fiber body. You don't have to worry about that stuff. And you got up there. Were you trying to be like 3 times as tall as Michael Heiner? Oh man, see that.
Oh, here we go.
It's your fault. It's your fault. But look at this one. You're still celebrating. Interview from the roof of the car. Very unique.
Yeah, that was definitely a fun day, and I'm hoping we can repeat in Houston. Here's a little trivia for you.
Oh,
who was the last person to win NHRA Pro Stock in Houston, Texas?
Matt Hartford.
There you go.
Wow. See, when people ask you, here's some trivia, you always got to assume that they are the answer. The answer is Matt Hartford. Wow.
Last person to win Pro Stock in Houston.
Matt Hartford.
John DeFlorian.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Mountain Motor Pro Stock. Oh, makes sense. Okay, one more picture. Because, I request pictures and they come in and then I use them. And this one is probably my favorite, like the celebration. Bang.
There you go. That's listen, I'll take it. She had said something about, a cowboy hat, what she was going to do. So I needed to get the hat, and I explained to her that there was one of two people that could win that hat. So be careful what she was saying. And she did say it was only directed towards me. If Greg won it, that wasn't going to happen. So.
Okay, well that's great, and I love the way that you weaved through that. That was very good, Matt. Excellent work. Congratulations. Big win. Point standings. You said, we understand the way that the math works, right? You're 181 behind the lead. Jeg is 93 behind the lead. So it would even be a considerable jump to get to Jeg, given how good he is with 2 races remaining. Jason 31 out, Erica with the lead. But you can certainly factor in. And if you can hold this position, it will be an improvement over last year.
Yes.
Which is probably what you're looking for.
You have to look at things in perspective. There are 12 more times that I get to let the clutch out on this car in 2020 in NHRA official regulation, time. So there's two qualifying runs per event. So we can pick up a few points there. And then you got 8 elimination rounds left. It's 20 points per round. So we can pick up a few in qualifying. We can pick up 20 points a round if we can go, and then 30 points a round in Vegas. So there are points to be had. And to say that Erica, Jason, and Jeg aren't capable of losing first round, no, it's not probable, but it is potential.
There you go. And look at Michael Heiner. He says, "It too, Brutus." Right? Like I stabbed him. I stabbed him in the back, Michael. It was just a joke, Michael. It was just for the show, Michael.
Yeah, and if he wouldn't take all the green hats, maybe I could get more qualifying points.
Exactly. Matt, thank you very much. I will not be in Houston. I think I'm going to be here for the, the deal, 2020, but whatever. I'm not complaining given all the stuff that's happening. I'm just, eager to put one foot in front of the other and get to the end of 2020 and have everything, move on. But I wish you the best of luck. It's been great watching. Go out there and get them. Thanks for coming on the show and supporting the show.
Well, and thank you for supporting Hidden Horsepower. That's our podcast at Total Seal, and I encourage everybody to go to either WFO Radio or any of the forums that we have Hidden Horsepower on and listen along.
Yeah, it's been going good. The Gapless Rings, Myths and Misconceptions. Look, right over your mug. Gapless Rings, Myths and Misconceptions is up right now, but we've had a lot of good stuff. And I've learned a lot about piston rings, let me tell you, in 2020.
Good.
Year of knowledge. All right, Matt, thank you very much. Say hi to everybody, and good luck in Houston.
Tell Mr. Beckman and Jerry congratulations as well.
I will. I'll tell him. I'm trying to say I will say something, or I will tell them, and it's merging together. That was Matt Hartford, and this is Fast Jack Beckman, just like that. So Jack can respond to Matt in real time. Jack, do we have audio? No, we don't have audio, Jack. Oh, no. I'll just be your voice. Yes, Matt, that is true. Good day. So I'm going to kick you out because you can hear me, of course. I'm going to kick you out and just do a little sorting through with your microphone, and we'll bring you back. We got plenty of time. But there it is, Jack. Or try with your phone, maybe. There it is. We'll kick Jack out, and this is the way it goes from time to time. And now I can tell you about our great sponsors, like Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. Go check out their brand new website at totalseal.com. Whether you've got a pro stock race car or you've got a stock eliminator race car, you're trying to build a bracket engine, why spend all the money on great parts and then skimp out on piston rings? Call Keith Jones, call the team, go to the website at totalseal.com. Also, samtech.edu. What's funny is we do the podcast for Total Seal, and at the end of every episode with some famous engine builder, I say, give some advice to the next generation. And a lot of them say, go to Samtech, which is just so cool that we've got this great cross-pollination between a company that is in the fight for horsepower, Total Seal, and another company that is educating the next generation, samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. All right, so I see that Jack has got IT involved. And
can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Apparently you just need a 13-year-old to fix this. You know what we did different, Joe?
No.
Nothing. We literally did nothing different.
Well, that's the way it works, technology. To me, I always say this, there are people who they're at home watching on NHRA.TV, and that's just the mainstream example. And they're complaining, it's not working 100%. It's like, hey, man, stop, reset your deal, go back, get back in, and it'll work. It's a miracle that Beckman can be where he is, and I can be where I am, and listeners all over the world, literally in Australia, can be watching our interaction and communicating with us in real time. We shouldn't be complaining about that. So what? I got to kick you out, bring you back. You're back. Congratulations.
I think it's more impressive that as inept as I am, they let me drive a fuel funny car. And what I was saying last time is, how about Matt Hartford? I thought that was awesome. You know, I'm strapped in the car for the final, and you try to get in the zone.
Yeah.
But when they're pushing you up to the water box and they're grooming the track for the nitro final, there's a few minutes. And I was listening to Matt's interview, and I thought that was kind of cool, and heard him mention he's the first Camping World Pro Stock winner of all time. I thought that'd be kind of neat to be able to say the same thing.
Exactly. And now I want to talk all about this. I want to delve into it, the championship fight. Like, what a great day, a dominant day. You guys did so well. But Eric Lane, Don Schumacher Racing, you know him. You worked with and around him. You've seen the person he is, his character. I know that you're hurting. I'm hurting. We're all hurting. And as a representative of DSR, now he wasn't at DSR now, but he was on that championship team with Ron Capps and Ron Tobler, and you know him well. I just want to give you the opportunity to say, you know, something about what we're all experiencing.
I've been to a lot of funerals, and I've been to a lot of funerals of people that died before their time. And, you know, when somebody eulogizes somebody, you get up there and you say the best about them. And I've even been to some funerals where when this person is being talked about, I'm like, that's not quite the way I remember them, but it's the way you're supposed to eulogize somebody. Nobody's going to have to fake it with Eric. He's an amazing person, friendly all the time. I never heard him bitching about anything or complaining about other people. Fun on wine night over in Tobler's Lounge. We have some great memories. And what I find difficult is, you know, I reached out to Cruz, I reached out to Tobler, and speechless is probably the one word that most people have said, is when talking about Eric having to switch from present tense to past tense. You know, I found myself several times yesterday talking to other crew members saying, he's such a great guy. He is such a great guy. And to have to change that to a was, and, you know, for his wife and for his daughter, I can't even imagine what they're going to be going through for the rest of their lives, much less the next couple of weeks. And, you know, he's going to be missed, and he was a lovable guy. And I am happy that I was friends with him, and I love him, and I will miss him dearly.
Yeah. And he is my friend. He was my friend. That, talk about putting your thumb on the reality of the situation. It's just brutal, and we're all hurting. And as someone who sees the behind the scenes, and I'm super lucky and happy that Work Eric was a guy that I knew and respected, and look at that guy work, man. He's an unbelievable leader of men. I really view him as, there's the older guys, the Jimmy Prock, the Todd Smiths, the Ron Toblers, and then there's this like young wave, the crew members out there, and I felt like Eric was kind of like a leader of those guys, you know, the captain of the football team type, who was energized, and you know, they were going fishing, like team building, they were trying to build chemistry. But you see him work, you've seen him work. Talk about the guy that's, you know, involved behind the scenes at DSR when he was there, being that guy, the rally the troops kind of guy.
Actually, I do have a gripe about Eric. There's something that I didn't like about him. That guy was 47 and looked like he was 27.
He was not 47.
I mean, he just
unbelievable,
handsome, you know what. And I was talking to Gary Densham yesterday, and I think Eric started working for Gary when Eric was 25, and he was fresh out of a tech school, and a friend of a friend said, hey, this guy can work on the car. And Gary said, okay, you do the right side cylinder head. And the guy just went to work. So there's a couple things that you want on your team, and a lot of it you could teach and some of it you can't. And so when we interview people, you'd like to know what their mechanical background is and what their aptitude is for touching and working on a car. And that's important. But the intangible is their character. How well can you get along with other people? Do you know when it's time to step up and lead? And do you know when it's time to shut up and follow? And how well can you foster that chemistry on the team? Eric's one of the guys that ticked off all the boxes. I mean, he was smart mechanically. He was easy to get along with. He helped everybody understand where they're supposed to be there. That's a rare find, because some of the most brilliant crew chiefs in auto racing history, if you talk to people about them, they're kind of SOBs. They're not friendly. They're not motivational. And that's a tough balance to find a guy that can do it all. That's smart enough to know what to do on the car, but smart enough and kind enough to know how to get what they need out of the rest of the crew. And Eric was just one of those guys. You know, he wasn't in his 20s, and even though he looked like he was, but that he was part of the next generation, the up and coming crew chiefs, the guys that were going to begin to write their names into the record books on a long-term basis. And there isn't words. I wouldn't even know what to say to Kelly, to his wife, or to his little girl, except for maybe in a few years I can tell them, when the shocks worn off, how much her husband and how much her father meant to so many of us out here.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned, first of all, Caleb out there from Snap On Team is in the comment section. Caleb, post that link in the comment section, Caleb. There's a GoFundMe on Cruz Pedregon's page. If you, Caleb, I don't know if you can, but everybody will see it right now, and I'll see it and I can direct them. If you go to Cruz Pedregon's Facebook page, there's a GoFundMe for Kelly and Mulaney. Like, oh my gosh, you know, you mentioned wine night. I'm out there, and we're going to talk about the win. I'm, you know, momentum.
I think this is more important. I really do.
Thank you. I'm out there as a worker, Jack, and I don't want to step on anyone's toes, and I don't want to do the wrong thing, and I want to be invited back, and I want to carry myself in a professional manner. And
it's okay, Joe. You could talk about wine night.
Well, I know. I know. And so Eric and Tobe together, you know, Tobe mentioned, and then I talked to Eric about it. I was like, yeah, Tobe invited me to this thing. Yeah, no, come. And I never want to go somewhere where I'm not invited. You know, there's a lot of people that'll just show up someplace, but that's not my style. I have to be over invited. In fact, my friends hate me. They hate me for being that guy that has to be over invited. But
let me paint the picture for your listeners here. So if you take the crew chief lounge of the Napa car, there's room for 4. The fire marshal would limit it at 6, and we've squeezed 18 in there at a time. And Ron puts on his crappy rap music. I'm sorry, Ron. I'm just calling it like I hear it.
I like your music too, but I'm with Ron. I like Ron's music also.
Not my cup of tea, but fortunately I had my cup of wine. And Ron he's a wine snob. He's got good taste in wine. And Eric took to that like a duck to water. You know, sometimes that square peg doesn't fit in the round hole. When Eric came over there and took that assistant crew chief position, you always wonder, the working on the car chemistry was good with him and Toby, but how about the after hours part? So Saturday night is time to decompress. They'd still have the run up on the computer. They'd still be looking at some stuff, but they're banging heads to the music, and Ron's pouring some good quality wine. And Eric, you talk about when somebody's gone and what keeps them alive is the memories. And it hurts right now to try to think about that because it's fresh and the wound's pretty big. But I think that'll be something all of us can settle on is Eric was pretty cool Sunday during the day when eliminations were on. And he was also real cool Saturday night after we were done qualifying.
He really was. They, so many regrets, but I know that he was going to blossom into the next generation of Jimmy Prock style crew chiefs, Dean Antonelli, John Medlin, like it was coming. You have to season. It doesn't happen instantly. That's not real. You have to.
Yeah, he was part of a championship team. That's pretty awesome. He won a lot of races as a crew guy. And if you guys hear him referred to as Hop Sing and you go, oh my God, especially in today's politically correct day and age, what a pejorative, xenophobic term. He loved that somebody named him Hop Sing. You don't get to pick your nicknames. It's like fighter pilots. And Eric's part Asian. He got that moniker and he embraced it and he loved it. My crew chief, Dean Antonelli, he's Guido. He loves that. It's on his business cards there. So if you guys hear the Hop Sing for Eric, it was not pejorative in any way, shape, or form. It was a term of endearment given to him by a bunch of people that loved him.
I didn't like to call him that at first. at first, because it's not, who am I? I'm not going to call that's a nickname that comes from this area of love. I never viewed it like that's not for me to say. That's for
I still struggle with some of these stereotypical names. Yeah.
Well, it is. It's a generational thing. You don't just turn it off. And that's what we need to understand. Like, okay, it's things are different now, and I get it, but like you can't just turn things off that have been on for 20 years.
I'm just saying, if somebody reads a eulogy of him and it says Hop or Hoppy or Hop Sing,
Asian Larry,
that was in no way intended to be demeaning.
No, absolutely not. And in the end, like I had started calling him Hop, of course, because it's a term of love. That's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah. Maybe it's time to bring up something else, because if you think 2020 couldn't get any worse, and then this news, it appears, I was talking to Bobby Lagana at Dallas, and Dom is really making some rebounds. I mean, physically, he's been through more than a lot of combat veterans, and he's going to be different for the rest of his life physically. But I asked Bobby how he's doing, because apparently Dom got a pretty serious head wound too. And I hope I'm not talking out of school, but he said Dom is back to being Dom. He's texting and stuff. So if there's nothing that can compare with the tragedy of losing Eric, but thank goodness it looks like not only is Dom going to stick around, but he's going to start plugging away and getting back to whatever his new normal is going to be.
And so Steve Torrance is going to be on the show tomorrow at 4:00. That's at least our intention. And we're going to ask him, but I'll give you a direct story. I'm a big New York Yankee fan, and so is Dom. And, we both hit it off years ago. And so Yankees playoff times and constant texting during the games. That guy was safe. That guy's out. Big mistake. Good play. Good move, etc. And so obviously the tragedy hit home very hard. And that's why we're flying the Nitro Ninja. And so as the Yanks went into the World Series, Jack, I thought like, what? Oh man, I would be texting Dom right now. But I said, I don't want to invade. I don't want to. The same character trait that has me not walking into other people's parties is the same character trait that when there's a tough medical situation, I'm going to lay back. But I heard the FaceTiming story, and I said, F it. I'm going to text Dominic, right? So I started texting him some Yankee stuff, like normalcy, right? Like this is normalcy. Castello complaining about the Yankees and starting pitching. That's what's real. That's real life. Well, this past weekend, just texted him a what's up. And for the first time, the three little dots started to move on the bottom of my screen. Like someone is texting me back. What? Someone's texting. And then Dominic texted me back for the first time. Like, hey, and I talked to Nat. Natalie was like, he called her Nat Dog. And so I was like, so Dominic. This is Dominic. And she's like, yeah, Dominic's back. So yes, not to put tragedy on a scale, but that's a little good news that's coming out right now. And let's talk about, so we've covered all this. Thank you so much for doing that, Jack. I heard you met Bobby Graham, WFO Universe Bobby Graham, brought you some Hot Rod magazines out there in Texas. How'd that go?
What's neat about, I'm not a big social media guy, but if you need something, you could put it out there. And I didn't set out to collect all the issues of Hot Rod, but I found myself getting pretty close, and I was missing 2 issues from 78. And he shows up at the ropes at Dallas. He says, here you go. That's a pretty cool deal.
Bobby Graham is one of our biggest supporters. He found us on WFO early on. We didn't have to go get him. He sought us out and has been a supporter of us the whole time.
I told him we also need $3 million for next year. So I'm hoping he comes up at Houston at the ropes and gets a check for that.
$3,050,000, Bobby. And I'll just take that 50 off.
Perfect.
The top. There it is. So let's talk about your race win, because after all, that is one of the reasons you're here, Jack. I'm so thankful that you're on the show. You're in a fight, man. You're in a battle. And I think about John, and I think about Guido, and I think about what this season means on the Infinite Hero team. Qualified 6th, ran Cruz first round. Speaking of Eric and Nick, they went down the racetrack. That's been their whole goal, to get that car to go down the track, that 398. They did not win the round, but I'm sure they were happy about the direction they're going in. They just ran into Beckman, and Beckman's tough right now. And then you had to set up against Wilkerson, got through Wilk, 90 with an 8. Big run against Tasca, 90 with a 3. You got a bracket car now, consistent, setting up that big final round matchup against Hagen, who is your championship rival. Let's pick it up, around the semis. What are you guys dealing with? What are you thinking about, knowing just how massive these races are against, to stay in this championship fight?
So go back to Q2. We thought we could run easily in the 80s on Q2, and the car went out there and went a 397. And you start scratching your head on that. What was different? What did we miss? And we're going into eliminations, and we see something. I don't know that Guido and Medlin might be mad if I tell too much, but there was something on one of our pressure channels that wasn't right, that didn't look like it was a bad transducer monitor or something wrong with the computer. And the possible fixes for that is change everything on that system, take it off our backup car. But unfortunately, there's a lot of parts on the car, blowers, pressure plates, cannons on the cars, clutch management manifolds that kind of have their own fingerprint to them. So swapping from one car to the other doesn't exactly give you the same results sometimes. Or just hope that the anomaly that we were seeing continued and we would tune around it. So we took that option. So far, so good. We win first round, second round semis. We come to fire the car up for the final round. And what'll happen is we'll windmill the engine over. The ignition shut off and we spin the engine to get any residual fuel out of the cylinders. Then we'll prime it with gasoline because it will spark off quicker than nitromethane. Spin it over, unground one of the magneto systems. The engine starts up, unground the other one. And at the same time, I'm pulling the fuel lever to full fuel flow for the idle system. Well, when we do this, the engine kind of coughs and sputters, and 3 holes on the left side are dead. I could see that. I'm sitting right behind the engine. And Guido gets a puzzled look on his face. And then I see him reach over and start turning the air bleeds on the injector to get the idle to come up. Anyway, we get all done. And he said, something's goofy. You know, it sounded like the thing tried to backfire and it was down 200 RPM. And then he goes and looks at the computer, and we don't know if I had the fuel lever on too far. I'm not quite sure. I mean, I've done 2,000 warm-ups. I didn't think I did anything different, but something was different. We had to go check the burst panels on the engine. We didn't know if we had a hurt engine that we were dragging up for the final. We were out of time. We had no options at that point. Well, Guido said he felt like we were fine as soon as we did the burnout and nothing bad happened. I felt better, but the run is a whole different animal. So for one, it ran exactly what they wanted it to. I rolled in a little bit. We likely would have run a high 389 on that run, which is exactly what they were tuning for. Matt Hagan probably would have been about a 392 if he was in shallow. And I'm guessing they probably wanted a little bit more out of it. And people get spoiled when you see great crew chiefs go out there and repeat run after run after run. A lot of the fans, I think, almost envision that there's a knob on the car that you turn to tell it what to run, and it makes all these magical adjustments. When you really understand the minutia and all the machinations on one of these cars, not only is it stunning they even make it down the track, it's mind-blowing when you see a car run as good as, say, ours did on Sunday there, where it just seems like it's a bracket car. And I got to tell you, as a driver, when you're on a fast horse, it feels a whole lot better than when you're going up there wondering if your car is going to drop 3 cylinders or you know, look at Alexis. My God, that girl's got some chutzpah.
Yeah, that fire was a rager. That was big time stuff. And just so thankful she was able to, get out, bring out the backup car and courage, tremendous courage. On that note, okay, so you're 4 points behind a Hagan, and Tommy is 77 back. Not that Tommy is out of it completely. It's 1.5 points at the final race in Vegas. So that does mix some things up. But for all intents and purposes, you guys are tied. I want to talk like, man versus man, Jack. Hagan is this beast. You're a military veteran. Being equalized in drag racing against this monster of a person who's an intense competitor and is very vocal about how much he loves to compete. And you got to strap it in and strap on and go up against Hagan and Dickey and those guys. And you know what they are and you know what you got. Like, what is better than that if you're a competitor?
Yeah, thank God it's not a tug of war or a bench press competition, huh? And Matt came up after the semis when he won and picked me up and because we knew we were going to be racing in the finals. I said, I'm just glad this isn't a wrestling contest right now. No, that's the great thing about drag racing is it's sudden death. I love all forms of motorsports. And in NASCAR, you go out there and you run a couple hundred laps, and assuming nobody runs out of fuel or spins out on the last lap, if you finish third, you kind of knew you were going to finish third, and people are pretty elated with that. Well, nobody loses in the semis and drag racing and says, man, we finished third. This was a great day.
Right.
Because at the end of the event, there literally is one winner and everybody else lost. So to go up there and know, in case you guys haven't noticed, the Schumacher cars have been nothing short of spectacular this year. So we know every time we pull up against a Schumacher car, it's almost a coin flip out there. Now, that's not to minimize the other cars. Tasca, Wilkerson, JR, Alexis, even Paul Lee's got a great running car right now. If any of those cars won one of the last two races, it would not be a shock. But truly what the DSR cars have done, not just for this year, but going back to the last three races of last year, is almost beyond compare.
Yes. I want to talk about that perfect season. I see Jerry Savoie is down there in the ready room. Jerry, I see you, bud, just FYI. But since we can, let's watch the final round. Jack, you, Hagan, here we go.
They leave within a single thousandth of a second as they go down the racetrack. It's Jack Beckman, 3.908, like a bracket car. That machine repeating within 5/1000ths of a second of itself. 328 miles an hour.
Brian Loans, Tony Pedregon on the call, Fox Sports. There it is. You gapped him a bit, maybe a car length. And so 2 races to go, Jack. He's fighting for his third. You're fighting for your third, if you include the Super Comp World Championship, which I will never accidentally omit again. And, but, you got to get the job done. So let's look a little bit ahead to Houston.
Well, okay, I'm with you there. But before that, let's just talk about what happened after that. I went to the Motorplex for the first time in 1986. I misspoke on the top end interview. For some reason, my brain was a year off. My buddy Lee West and I drove 500 miles each way from our Air Force base in his Chevette, which broke down there and we had to fly home. But I've got history at the Motorplex. I went there in 98 and raced Super Comp in a buddy's car. And I've been trying, this is my 16th time if you count my Top Fuel ride in 2005. My dad lives an hour and a half from the track, and all I've ever wanted to do is get him a cowboy hat. He's 83 now. He was there. He got to get his cowboy hat. It is one of the greatest wins in my entire career. And if you had asked me over the last 5 years after I'd won Indy, what is the one race more than any that you want to win? It's Dallas. Now there's 2 more on my list: Houston, Vegas.
There it is. Wow. It's so great that's so meaningful to you. Hey, Michael Heiner, number 1 qualifying pro stock crew chief, says, Jack, you're my hero. Go win the championship, get a sponsor so we can keep needling each other on the starting line. Proud of you, brother, says Michael Heiner. And Marvin Rodak says, congratulations, the first Camping World trophy. Got it for Terry, of course. That's a story that we'll be doing, be talking about. Of course, we wish you great luck in the sponsor hunt, and I think you're doing a great job trying to get it. One of those products that's in Camping World, hopefully, is something that you will settle in with. But I want to ask you guys about the DSR perfect season, something that is coming up now all of a sudden.
I'm all for it, Joe.
I know you do, but that would be pretty incredible for a team.
Yeah. Okay. So let's address the elephant in the room. The JFR cars aren't out here, and Height is the defending world champion, and John Force is John Force, right? I get it. I totally get it, because I get a lot of pushback on Facebook because, you can't have all nice comments. Somebody's always got to rain on your parade, but I get the point's valid. Without the JFR cars here, it's different. But don't ever put an asterisk on this, because we won 10 in a row in Funny Car in 2017 with everybody out there. And 5 of these 9 that we've won dating back to last year, the JFR cars also were here. That being said, there's no doubt I'm not minimizing their contributions to the sport, and I recognize they're 2 of the toughest cars out there, and we need them back. I hope they're going to be completely set for 2021. Ironically enough, I might not be out there. Tommy Johnson might not be out there. I'm looking. I've never stopped looking. Probably the week after the finals at Vegas is when I'll start back in the elevator trade, waking up early, being stuck in traffic. But I have 2 kids and a mortgage payment, so I need to work, and I'm fortunate to have that to fall back on. But I won't stop looking for sponsorship, and I do want to stay involved in the sport at one level or another as long as I possibly can.
And I know you will. You have too much information, too much knowledge to share, and
I know where the bodies are buried, Joe.
And that's true. You could always say resort to crime. That's what I always said. Like backup plan, like the 3rd or 4th level of backup, you could always go with crime. Crime is always out there. Jack, thank you very much for coming on the show. Tough show today. You know, there's so much going on, but the wins, like what would Eric want? I said that at the beginning. Like he would want us to celebrate these victories and talk about the racing and enjoy the heck out of every second. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And it's weird. It's still, Wilkerson is the one that sent me that text, and I was at an appointment, and I texted him back, is that verified? Because sometimes they're just dumb things that get put up on the internet. And he said, no, it's for sure. And it's still hard to believe. It really is. And to the family, I don't know that there'll ever be closure, but recognize that all of us out in the racing community are also part of Eric's extended family. And I don't know what we're going to be able to do, because it's very odd with the COVID restrictions. You can't go from pit to pit and interact like we typically do. I just hope we're able to get together, maybe if not physically, but more emotionally and spiritually for Eric, and have a little bit of closure at the drag strip on this.
We're going to have to do something. Jack, thank you very much. Congratulations on your win. Good luck this weekend, and perhaps not the final time we'll talk here on WFO. Thank you.
Very good, Joe. Thanks.
There goes Fast Jack Beckman. Thank you, Jack. Jack Beckman with us here on WFO Radio. And what a show it has been, man. We had Matt Hartford, we had Jack Beckman, and we're going to bring him up. Oh, no, man. I liked outside better. Jerry Savoie, I liked outside better. It was like you were on the set of Bonanza or something. You were in the Wild West. It was amazing. Jerry Savoie, White Alligator Racing. Look at this. Look great. How are you, Jerry? What are we looking at?
Old plantation. Have some land in what they say Lockport, Louisiana, which is not far from where Antron's wife, Billy Joe, lived when she was growing up. And it's called the La Coca Plantation, and you got cane fields behind me. I'll give you a little peek.
Yeah, lay it on us. Look at that. It's beautiful. This is exactly what we want.
So it's in the wind. So I'll go sit in the truck so the wind don't affect the
I don't hear the wind. If the wind bothers you, that's fine. But Jerry, you're looking great. You're feeling great, and you must love Dallas. Billy Meyer's Texas Motorplex. There's some sort of magic between you and that place.
Man, so my truck's done. I don't know what it is. You go to certain tracks like Indy. We won Indy twice. I've been in the finals 3 or 4 times. It's just something that certain tracks, and Jack or anybody else will vouch for it, that just you click, and we knew we didn't have the fastest bike, but we knew we could cover the 8th mile. So we did some different things, cover the 8th mile. We figured if we got out on them and I cut a good light, that maybe they would look over at me and lose focus. Because, on a pro stock bike, it's kind of like, not like Jack's car where you press a button and you run a certain ET, like he was saying, I know he's joking, but there's no room for error on a pro stock bike. Bottom line. So if you can distract your opponent, that's the best thing to do.
Interesting that was a strategy. You guys wanted to win so badly. It's been kind of obviously a tough season for everybody. But you guys have been hunting. You've been hunting it. And is that because you're looking for, we know Tim Kalungian, he's not going to stay put. He's going to find the next thing. And so sometimes to go forward, you have to go backward. Is that what's happening?
Well, without saying a whole lot, we having some issues mechanically, and also we cannot get a grip on this fuel. This fuel has thrown us a curve that we are searching. And I mean, look at Hector. I mean, everybody. Matt Smith seems to be the only one that's figured it out, and the Harleys finally maybe figured something out. But man, Tim, that's why we didn't go to St. Louis. He spent the 2 weeks on the dyno just beating everything up, and go to the track and it doesn't respond to anything.
Interesting. But you were able to go out and break through and get the win, and it's a pretty big deal. And more importantly, like the guys you got through, right, including Eddie, 007 reaction against Eddie, and then Joey Gladstone, another feel-good story. Love the kid because he's killer on the tree, and he's paid his dues, right? So to get a taste of a final round, but you're able to go to 691, only 191. Jerry, what's that thing going to run when you guys are able to run out the back door? Oh, we lost.
Right.
No, we still hear you, but we don't see you. Just keep talking.
Yeah, I will. I kept waiting for Eddie to come around me, but he kind of fumbled on a 60-foot, and then once we got out on him, it was kind of hard for him to catch up. So we got, I won't say lucky, but we got lucky.
Well, it is what it is. You got the win. So tell me about the remainder of the season. What are you planning on doing? I know you had flirted with final season kind of stuff at times. You've certainly brought up the subject. For those watching, we have lost the video of Jerry, but you're hearing the audio of Jerry. And after all, WFO is a podcast. And so for our podcast listeners, you're not missing anything. But like, what do you think about what's going to happen these next two races? You got to win. I know there's a 4-valve program potentially out there. Lay it on me.
Right. So, Vance and Hines is building a new 4-valve, and they're very, very, very close. With COVID, just like it affected everyone else, it slowed down the process. So we're not going to get it before the end of the season. As far as the points race, we pretty much can't do anything. I mean, Matt Smith is so dominant. He's qualified number one at every race. And besides Angel and Ryan, Matt's won every single race. Well, one of his teammates have won every single race. So, he's a force to be reckoned with. And I expect him to do really well at the next two races. He's a hell of a racer and a great competitor. So I don't think we'll catch him. But Tim's at the Alligator Farm right now, and they're working on the trucks here. Got the motors apart, engines apart, and working hard to try to find something for Houston. We think we stumbled on something in testing on Monday, so we'll see what happens.
That's it. Let's see what happens. And in the meantime, let's take a second to watch this final round, Jerry.
Savoie is first out of the gate, leaving Joey Gladstone at the altar with a 50 to his 72. And Jerry Savoie has done it again. 6.910 seconds, 191.16 miles an hour. An incredible weekend for Jerry Savoie, a man who had basically not been past the second round of any race this year and didn't even race the St. Louis event. Shows up here with Tim Kalungian and crew and dominates.
On the call, Fox Sports, I saw John Hall down there on the starting line. You had the whole crew. The Alligator Chomp is back. That had to feel great.
I mean, it was great. Here's what I tell everybody about winning. You don't get to see the excitement on the starting line. And I am more excited for those guys than I am for myself. It's a great thing. I'm living the dream, but they're enjoying the ride. It's just amazing to see the excitement and the hard work that they put in. So it's very gratifying for those guys to share a piece of some type of victory that they can't do what I do.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is a bummer that you're down there. And obviously, everyone's going crazy on the starting line, but happy we could show it to you here. Jerry, thank you very much for coming on WFO Ready. Hey, let me try to bounce you out and bring you back.
I don't know why I won't.
Because it's the internet, Jerry. It's a miracle that we're even talking to you. I'm choose to be thankful.
I'm in the cane fields of South Louisiana. What the hell you expect?
Exactly. But hey, real quick, I don't know if you had a relationship with Eric Lane or not. I do want to, even though we can't see you, we certainly can hear you. If you had anything you wanted to say, our whole community has had a tough year. This has been a tough year. If you knew Eric or not.
Well, I knew of him and I spoke to him once or twice. Didn't have a personal relationship with him. And I told him when I heard it, I said, man, I can't wait till 2020 is over with. It's been a hell of a ride. And I think everybody in the world agrees that we've never seen anything like this in our entire life. And, the guy was just so young. And anytime somebody such an young age like that passed away, it's heartfelt. So my heart goes out to his family and all his teammates, and just keep on praying and wishing for the best.
So there it is. What more can I say than that, Jerry? Thank you very much. Good luck. Have fun the remainder of the season, and back home also. Thank you for taking the effort. I know you're busy. Jerry's busy. He's like working right now. He made time for us, and I really appreciate it, Jerry. Thank you. And we got to see where you were, and it was beautiful, and it was great. And just thank you. I'm so glad that you got another win, Jerry. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Joe. We'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. There he goes, Jerry Savoie. with us here on WFO Radio. And to all you listeners out there, you know the web, man. Sometimes it just doesn't fully cooperate, but we got through it. And Jerry was great. And those guys, again, it's a tough deal. Final comments in the comments section as I talk about a couple of things here on WFO, and I'm going to give you a couple of little stories at the very end, and then we'll head off. But, obviously we're a podcast. We'd love for you to subscribe to the podcast and the sponsors who make it possible. This show does not happen without these people. For instance, Sanacor, Silverthorne Industries, jumped on for the month of October, and they've got such great products like the hand sanitizer, point of purchase, these little packets, great for emergency use. You have them around. They are great. Go to SanacorUSA.com and get their bundles. They're for a limited time. You can get gallons with the pump. You can get the packets. If you've got a business, if you've got a shop, if you work in industry, everybody's got to try to stay safe. It's cold and flu season, even, post-COVID, when we're beyond it. I think everybody's going to have renewed health, wellness mentality. And Tony Shortall and the guys at Silverthorne Industries wanted to be involved with WFO Radio because of you, not because of me, because of you. They know that you guys have been really supporting our other sponsors. And, go onto their website, SanacorUSA.com, like their Facebook page, check out their what they've got. And if you're going to get a hand sanitizer, order this one. Yes, do a little extra. Go the extra mile. Don't just, pick it up at your local office store. Get a big container and then maybe refill your containers and use the packets. I think it's just genius, really, frankly. I think it is just genius. Also, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, November 20th, frankhawley.com. They've got a dragster adventure going on in Gainesville, Florida. Courses are starting at $399. It's a single-day experience. You're hanging with Frank Hawley. You're driving dragsters. You're doing burnouts. Think about how great that would be, considering these circumstances, what we've all been through, to end 2020 off with something fun. Driving dragsters for fun. November 20th, go to frankhawley.com. And if you do it, tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio. Yes, say WFO. Total Seal Piston Rings, Matt Hartford. Obviously, you saw Matt. How do you not root for that team? They're like a rapscallion bunch, right? Going against the grain, doing it themselves. They got KB Power, of course, but you got Eddie and you got KI and you got Adam and Amber, and it just is a fun team. And they have done a lot to bring Pro Stock back, showing off what's going on with the bits that they do with me and NHRA, of course, on NHRA's Facebook page, exposing the secrets of Pro Stock. It is great. Go to TotalSeal.com and check them out. And samtech.edu, Aaron Stanfield winning again. Samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. And my buddy, Marvin Rodak, RodaksCoffeeandGrills.com. Speaking of rapscallion bunches, right, guys, a crew of like the replacements, like these old heroes walking around, Bobby Graham and Marvin Rodak and Derek Green throughout the Texas Motorplex. Try the coffee, enjoy it. He's up at like 4 a.m. roasting coffee for the WFO universe. 817-924-6821. We also have face coverings for you folks out there, WFOradio.com. Hit the store, get a face covering, $10. And who was it telling me that with Marvin, that they were wearing their face coverings out there at the Motorplex because it was cold. So a new use for the face coverings, right? Face warmers at WFOradio.com as the winter is coming. Get your face warmer. I'm kidding. I'm just trying to spin it so that you get the WFO so you can promote the show. $10 with shipping plus some stickers. Do it. WFOradio.com. You can also get them at Nitro Fish, NitroFishRacing.com. That's Bo and Randy Len. So helpful to us with our t-shirts. If you want a WFO t-shirt, you can get it there and even save 20% off with the promo code WFO20. Not just on our shirts, but on anything that you get at NitroFishRacing.com. I think it's crazy that they do that, but they do it, and so use it. Take them up on it. Simple as that. Once again, final comments in the comment section, and clearly, Eric Lane is my sole focus. A lot of people have been sending me photographs of me and Eric at work. This one came from a listener, and I was able to pop it up into our stream. And when the Napa car wins, everybody's got their own unique celebration, and they have their own unique celebration. And Tobe brings out his chalice, and Eric brought out his rice patty hat. And the celebration was on. And it was, and I told the Patreons this, and I'll tell you this, it's like easy for me to make friends at the track because I get to interact with people when they've just won. And I'm interviewing winners, and what's better than being a winner? But it was just so great because he in particular recognized, like, man, come hang out after. And I did. I felt welcome, and I did. And it was great. Just so much great times at the Y Night that Jack explained, and learning about Tobe and Eric and tuning and just the different layers and who comes in and out. Dickie comes in and out, and Jimmy comes in and out, and all these people, like, these guys are arch rivals on the track, but they're not. It's a family. And to lose Eric the way we did is just vicious and brutal and cruel. It's cruel. And then think of Kelly, and it's just cruel. And there's no other words, and you just got to take the punch to the face and just keep moving on. In 2019, when Amanda and Jason Logan were on during Happy Hour, we talked about our high roller tradition. The high roller tradition started with, I got to finish off with that one, with Eric after he was together with the Tasca team. And I remember he called me aside and he said, I got to tell you something. And I was like, okay, what's going on? What could this be? And he, for whatever reason, this was totally unnecessary. It's just totally unnecessary. But he pulled me aside to tell me the news that he was going to get a shot to be Tasca's crew chief. He's going to get a shot to be a crew chief. And he pulled me aside, and he's assembling the guys, and the crew, who are still mostly there, were Eric hires, and to take the team and set up the organizational system and all of that. And Nick was one of his original hires. Now, that didn't work out exactly because of circumstance. There's probably people who have got much better stories and insight into it than me. But the way I look at it is, what did Eric tell me? What did Eric tell me about that? And he said that, he got it. And just, Mike Neff happened to be available. The Army pulls out. Mike Neff is available. He's on the set. Like, it just was a bad circumstance that happens in business. But what did Eric say about it? And what he told me was that everything happens for a reason. Everything was cool. And I accepted that. But man, we had fun on the Ferris wheel. We had a good time this night, and everybody loved it. And, Amanda and Lauren and Jason, everybody, Omaha, DeAndre, everybody that is there. We had such a good time and bonded beyond drag racing. Like, man, that was fun. And, this picture tells a little more. Yeah. Right. Fun stuff at the NHRA, folks. This is a family. Everybody says that, and it's a cliche, and there are certainly family feuds, but we're all, it's brutal. We're hurting. The texts and it's just cruel. It's cruel. It's unfair. It's cruel. So let's see what people have to say in the final comments before I get out of here. Cold in Texas? Got 6 inches of snow. I don't know where you are, but yeah, apparently much colder than Florida. Sublimated. I wonder if you're talking about I don't know what he's talking about. The fact that the WFO mask perhaps will never be the same without him. Well, no, it won't. It won't. This has been a brutal year, and I hate to just throw it back on 2020, but it's a brutal year. So many things. I think about Dominic, the great news that we have gotten about it, but it's almost fitting that Mellow Yellow moved on, and that the era of the last however many years that we all lived through, certainly me, the last 10, and everybody prior, before I even arrived, certainly as a fan and on WFO, I was here. Like, that era is now, it's something of its own. And there's a new era that is starting, the Camping World era, and the people that are, it's going to be different. It's not saying it's not going to be great, but it's going to be different. High Roller Vegas, we were there. It was an amazing experience. It is a tradition, and it will continue. Yes, we did. Yes. Amazing. All right, and that's going to do it. I really appreciate all you folks. It's been a little emotional the past couple of days. I can't help but be me. In the upper right-hand corner of my screen, I see how many listeners there are, and I see the reactions. And, thumbs up and smile and frown and tears and whatever. And there's one that's angry, that angry face. Like, what made you angry? I don't know. And it's just so modern culture. You can get 1,000 likes and 1,000 positive comments and a bunch of thumbs up and one negative review. And it's right in there, just twisting in my brain. Why? What's wrong with you? What did I do? But I do it too. There's 1,000 positive reviews. What did the one negative person have to say? What did they want? What was their comment? I do it too. It's just a thing. The Ignition Show was in the archive yesterday. Me and Reinhardt breaking down the race. News was starting to break. And so that show was a little weird. So when you watch it, just understand that it was a show must go on kind of moment, because there's just, there's a right way to handle these things. Now we know, and now we can handle it. All of you WFO radio listeners, I really appreciate you when you share the show, when you tell your friends, when you share the link, the podcast in particular, but these shows on Twitter and on YouTube, when you retweet, when you forward along to your audience. Look at this guy, Baba Booey. Yes, I'm a big Stern fan, man. Big time. Neil Rogers, Stern, Phil Hendry. The reason I did this, Ron and Ron, Radio Network. That's why I do this. And that's why you got to listen to the Ignition Show, because it's less like this and more like that, for the most part. Hope to see you soon, WFO Joe. Thanks for the memories about Hop today. Love you, bro. Thank you. Thank you very much. Was busy in paint booth, missed most of it. That's why it's available on demand. And big thanks to everybody who supports this show. Great stories. Yeah, it's brutal. I don't wish this on anyone. We do have sponsors. They make it possible. These are them. I thank them for what they do. And I thank all of you. And now I'm gone. And I'm going to just throw it up there and head on out. But greatly appreciate my friend. And we'll never forget the times that we had. Eric Lane. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, listeners. We'll see you tomorrow, 4 p.m. Steve Torrance is scheduled. And we're going to dive in. See you next time. WFO.